This is the F-47. Boeing won the contract to build it in March 2025. The program will cost over $20 billion before a single production aircraft rolls out of a hangar. It will fly faster than Mach 2, carry weapons no adversary has seen, and penetrate airspace that would kill any other fighter alive today. Every defense analyst on the planet is calling it the most lethal jet ever built. But it's not really a fighter, and the reason it will dominate the next war has nothing to do with speed, stealth, or the weapons it carries. It has to do with a pilot who almost never fires a weapon, and an engine that makes the jet vanish from every sensor China has ever built. That story starts here, in the engine bay. The F-47 runs on 2 adaptive cycle engines developed under the Air Force's next-generation adaptive propulsion program. On the outside, they look like turbofans. Inside, there's something else entirely. A conventional jet engine has one job: produce thrust. Everything else, heat, fuel burn, radar signature, is a side effect you manage around. An adaptive cycle engine has 3 jobs simultaneously. It has a third stream of airflow, a bypass channel that can be opened or closed in flight by a variable geometry system that adjusts in milliseconds based on what the aircraft needs right now. Think of it like this. A normal engine is a faucet. Open it, you get thrust. Leave it open too long, you burn your fuel, and you glow in the infrared spectrum like a searchlight. The adaptive cycle engine is a valve with 3 positions, and the aircraft's brain is turning it constantly. Pratt & Whitney's XA-103 delivers up to 25% greater fuel efficiency in cruise mode, and up to 20% more raw thrust in combat mode, from the same engine, switched mid-flight. That's the number nobody talks about. Not the 1,000 nautical mile combat radius, which is nearly double the F-22. Not the Mach 2 plus top speed. Those are outcomes. The adaptive engine is the mechanism that makes them possible at the same time without trading one for the other. Every jet before this had to choose. But fuel efficiency is the obvious story. The classified story is thermal management. That third bypass stream isn't just moving air for efficiency. It's moving cool air around the engine core, which dramatically reduces the infrared signature the aircraft radiates. Infrared is how modern missiles find modern jets, not radar. IR, the F-22, classified as Stealth Plus, reduced its radar cross-section. The F-47, classified as Stealth Plus by the Air Force, manages infrared, acoustic, and radar signatures as a dynamic system. The engine is not just the power source, the engine is part of the stealth architecture. Turn it up for combat, the IR management system compensates. Turn it down for cruise, the signature drops again. The jet is performing a continuous disappearing act across the entire electromagnetic spectrum, simultaneously. Every second, it's airborne. Without that engine, there is no mission. Without the mission, there is no reason this aircraft exists at all. Now look at the airframe. The F-47 has no vertical tail. None. The F-22 had 2 canted vertical stabilizers that created radar reflections the Air Force had to work around for years. The F-35 has 1. The F-47 has a blended wing body design. Think B-2 bomber proportions compressed into a fighter silhouette, with canard surfaces and a tailless delta platform that eliminates the biggest radar return on any stealth aircraft. Vertical stabilizers are where radar energy bounces back. Remove them, and you've solved a problem that's plagued stealth design since the F-117. But removing vertical tails creates a new problem: stability. A conventional jet uses its tail surfaces to prevent the nose from yawing, pitching, and rolling in ways the pilot doesn't want. Remove those surfaces, and physics immediately tries to kill you. The F-47 solves this with flight control computers running AI-driven algorithms that make thousands of microcorrections per second. Using thrust vectoring and control surface adjustments the pilot never consciously commands. The aircraft is aerodynamically unstable on purpose. Instability means agility. The computers prevent it from becoming lethality. If those computers fail, the aircraft departs controlled flight in under a second. There is no mechanical backup. There is no fallback mode. the software doesn't fail or the pilot doesn't come home. That's not a design flaw. That's the price of making a blended wing-body fighter fly at Mach 2 with no tail. The Air Force decided the agility and stealth were worth it. Now climb into the cockpit and understand immediately that everything you know about fighter cockpits is wrong for this aircraft. An F-22 cockpit is built for a predator. Weapons targeting, threat display, radar scope. Every system tells the pilot where the enemy is and how to kill it. An F-47 cockpit is built for a commander. The primary display is not a radar scope. It's a tactical network map showing the pilot's drones, the threat picture, and the kill chain. All simultaneously, all in real time, all managed by battle management AI that is processing sensor data from sources the pilot can't see and will never directly operate. Here's what that means in practice. The F-47 operates alongside up to 5 or more collaborative combat aircraft, CCAs, semi-autonomous drones developed by General Atomics and Anduril, designated YFQ-42A and YFQ-44A. These are not the clumsy drones you've seen in every other conflict. They are purpose-built combat aircraft designed to fly in contested airspace where the F-47 cannot go without strategic risk. They carry sensors, jammers, decoys, and weapons. They communicate with the F-47 at data link speeds that reduce the sensor-to-shooter timeline to milliseconds. And they are cheap enough to be expendable. The F-47 is not. So the drones go first. When a mission enters defended airspace, the CCAs go ahead of the F-47 and probe the enemy air defense network. They fly routes that expose radar emissions, force surface-to-air missile systems to light up, and bait short-range interceptors into the open. The F-47, orbiting 50 miles back at the edge of detection, receives all of that data. The pilot sees a tactical picture no adversary pilot can see, and then the pilot makes a decision. Which threats do the drones suppress? Which targets does the F-47 engage directly? Which engagements do you decline because the cost isn't worth the outcome? The pilot retains final authority over every action that cannot be undone, every weapons release, every escalation. That last part is not sentiment. It is a legal and strategic requirement. An autonomous system that can commit lethal force without human authorization creates escalation risks that no tactical advantage justifies. The human in the loop is not a limitation on the F-47's capability. The human in the loop is part of the capability. The F-47 does things faster and at greater range than any previous fighter because it offloads danger to machines and offloads judgment to a human. Get that division right, and you have a platform that can survive long enough to be decisive. Get it wrong, and you have a $300 million aircraft making targeting errors that start wars. To understand why this machine exists, you have to understand the geography it was built for. The Indo-Pacific. Specifically, the problem of operating against Chinese air defenses from bases that are not Guam, not Okinawa, not anywhere close. U.S. bases in the Pacific are within range of Chinese ballistic missiles. In the opening hours of a conflict, those bases will be struck. The F-35, with a combat radius of roughly 670 nautical miles, cannot reach the fight from bases further back. It gets there and has nothing left. The F-22 was built for European air superiority scenarios against Soviet fighters. Same problem. Not enough legs. The F-47's combat radius exceeds 1,000 nautical miles. That number is not a spec sheet footnote. That number is the entire strategic premise of the aircraft. It means the F-47 can launch from bases outside the missile threat envelope, fly to the fight, command its drone swarm for hours in contested airspace, and return. Without that range, you don't have a 6th-generation fighter. You have an expensive 5th-generation problem dressed in new paint. China understands this. The J-36, China's 6th-generation competitor, is a massive tri-J flying wing with a side-by-side cockpit and heavy internal bays. Where the F-47 is a precision instrument, small signature, extreme range, network-centric, the J-36 is an arsenal. More payload, more weapons, more sensors, wider, heavier, slower to hide. China built a battle manager that can carry everything. The US built a battle manager that can disappear. One of those philosophies works better at 1,000 miles from any friendly base, in airspace saturated with the most advanced air defense network on the planet. The Air Force intends to buy more than 185 F-47s. At roughly 2 CCAs per F-47, that's nearly 600 combat aircraft in that formation alone. Each CCA costs a fraction of the F-47. Each CCA is a tradable, the Air Force's word for acceptable to lose. The math isn't about the cost of the F-47. It's about what one F-47 plus its swarm can do against what any adversary has to spend to stop it. The Air Force's argument is that number is favorable. Congress, which allocated $400 million to accelerate production in July 2025, is starting to agree. The name is not an accident. The designation F-47 honors the P-47 Thunderbolt, one of the most produced American fighters of World War II. The P-47 was a different kind of aircraft than anything before it. Massive, ruggedized, capable of absorbing punishment that would destroy lighter planes, and effective across every theater at once. Not the most elegant fighter, the most enduring one, the one that could do more jobs in more environments and bring its pilot home from conditions that should have been fatal. The F-47 inherits that logic in a different century. Not the most elegant fighter, a stealth platform that manages its own emissions like a living system, an engine that switches physics in flight, a cockpit wired to a drone swarm the enemy doesn't know is there, a combat radius that relocates the front line wherever the Air Force decides to put it. This aircraft will not go to war alone. It was never designed to. It was designed to go to war as the brain of something larger than itself, a networked formation of manned and unmanned systems that collectively can see farther, act faster, and absorb more punishment than any single aircraft in history. The F-47 is not the most powerful fighter ever built because of what it does in the air. It's the most powerful fighter ever built because of what it carries with it. And most of what it carries, you'll never see.